I am 82 years old. For over 50 years, I was a marriage counselor. Thousands of couples sat across from me. I watched them cry. I watched them heal. I gave them the truth every single time. But I never gave that truth to myself. I thought I had time. That's the first lie I told myself. Every single day, for 50 years, I told couples, don't wait. Say it now. Fix it now. Tomorrow's not promised. I said those words like they were nothing, like they were just a script. I said them so many times, they stopped feeling real to me. I was wrong. Let me take you back. 1971. I was 31 years old. Young, sharp, full of purpose. I had just opened my small practice in a quiet building above a bakery. I remember the smell of bread every morning. I remember thinking, this is my calling. I am going to save marriages. I am going to save love itself. And I did, for other people. Couples would come in broken, silent, angry. Some hadn't spoken a real word to each other in months. And I would sit with them, and slowly, carefully, I would help them find their way back. I saw it happen again and again. A husband crying for the first time in 20 years. A wife saying, I forgive you, after a decade of silence. I built a career on healing love. But at home, something was cracking. My own wife, Eleanor, sat across from me too. Not in my office, at our kitchen table. Every night. And every night, I told her the same thing I told my clients to say to each other. Later, let's talk later. I'm tired. Later. Later never came. I want you to sit with that for a moment, because I know some of you are doing this right now. Right now, tonight, there is someone waiting for you to say something. And you keep telling yourself later, tomorrow, when things calm down, when work slows down, when the kids are older. I said all of those things too. I had the answer. I had it memorized. I had given it to strangers 1,000 times. And yet when it came to the one person who loved me most, I said nothing. I chose silence. I chose comfort. I chose later. Here is the part one have never said out loud, until now. There was one night when Eleanor looked at me and said, do you even see me anymore? And I remember exactly what I did. I looked down at my paperwork. I said, not now, Ellie. I have a session in the morning. I had a session in the morning. For a stranger, don't make my mistake. I am not telling you this story for sympathy. I am 82 years old, and I do not have the luxury of hiding anymore. I am telling you this because somewhere, right now, you are doing exactly what I did. You are giving your best advice to everyone else. Your patience, your wisdom, your time, and you are giving the person closest to you later. But I need you to understand something before we go any further. What happened next in my life, what Eleanor said to me 3 weeks after that night, changed everything I believed about love, about time, and about myself. And I was not ready for it. 3 weeks after that night, Eleanor asked me for a divorce. I remember the exact chair she was sitting in. I remember the light coming through the kitchen window. I remember thinking, this cannot be real. This happens to other people. This happens to the couples in my office, not to me. But it was real. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. That was the part that broke me the most. She was calm. She said, I have been asking you to see me for 15 years, and you kept telling me later. I am done waiting for later. 15 years. I sat there in silence. The same silence I had given her every night at that kitchen table. Only now, the silence was mine to keep. Forever. I thought, I want to take you back further, so you understand how we got there. When Eleanor and I married, I was 26. She was 24. We had nothing but a small apartment and big dreams. I remember our first year together like it was yesterday. We used to talk for hours about everything, about nothing. She would tell me about her day at the school where she taught, and I would listen like it was the most important thing in the world, because it was. Then my practice grew, and slowly, without me noticing, my attention shifted. My clients became the people I listened to for hours. My clients became the people whose problems felt urgent. My wife became background noise. Familiar, safe, something I assumed would always be there. That is the cruelest trick time plays on us. It makes the people closest to us feel the most permanent. So we treat them like they need the least effort. We save our patience for strangers and our silence for the ones we love. I did this for years without realizing it. There were small moments, so small I dismissed them. Eleanor would say, "You listen to your clients more than you listen to me." And I would laugh it off. I would say, "That's different, Ella, that's work." I did not understand back then that love is also work. Love needs the same attention, the same patience, the same presence I gave to strangers in my office chair. I gave couples the tools to save their marriages. I taught them to say, "I hear you." I taught them to put down their phones, their newspapers, their distractions, and look at each other. I taught them that love dies not in one big explosion, but in 1,000 small moments of not showing up. And I was living proof of my own lesson. I just refused to see it. There is one memory that haunts me more than any other. It was a Tuesday evening, maybe 2 years before she asked for the divorce. Eleanor had made dinner, and she was telling me about a student in her class, a young boy who was struggling at home. She was worried about him, really worried, and I was there, at the table, nodding, but I wasn't listening. My mind was already on my next appointment, a couple I was worried about, a marriage I was trying to save. I nodded at Eleanor. I said, "Mm-hmm," and she stopped talking mid-sentence. She looked at me for a long moment. Then she said quietly, "Never mind. I thought I had time. I thought there would be another dinner, another conversation, another chance to really listen." I did not know that never mind was the sound of a door quietly closing, not slamming, just closing, gently, the way doors close when someone has given up expecting you to walk through them. I was wrong. By the time she asked for the divorce, that door had been closed for years. I had just been too busy, too distracted, too confident in later to notice it had ever shut. And what happened next was the moment everything I believed about myself, about love, about my entire life's work, cracked wide open. She left 3 months later, not in anger, in peace. That was somehow worse. I remember standing in the empty apartment, the one we had lived in for almost 20 years. Her side of the closet was empty. Her books were gone from the shelf. The kitchen table, the same one where I had said later 1,000 times, suddenly felt enormous, too big for one person. I thought I had time. I kept saying it to myself over and over, like it would change something. Like if I said it enough, the last 15 years would rewind and I would get to choose differently. But time does not rewind. Time only moves forward, and it does not wait for you to catch up. I was wrong. For the first time in my career, I could not go to work. The man who told other people how to fix their marriages, could not sit in that chair and pretend I had answers. How could I tell a husband to listen to his wife when I had not listened to mine? How could I tell a couple that love needs presence when I had been absent for half my own marriage? I took 2 weeks off. I told my clients I was ill. That was not entirely a lie. During those 2 weeks, I did something I had never done before. I sat alone in silence, and I really thought about every session I had ever done, every piece of advice I had given, and I realized something that shattered me completely. I had spent 50 years teaching people how to save their marriages by being present, by listening, by choosing love over convenience. And I had never once turned that lesson inward. I had treated my own life like it was exempt from the rules I taught everyone else. That is the moment everything changed. I called Eleanor. She did not answer the first time, or the second. On the third call, she picked up. Her voice was tired, not cruel, just tired. I asked her one question. I said, "Eleanor, was there ever a moment I could have fixed this?" She was quiet for a long time. Then she said something I will never forget, as long as I live. She said, "Every night at that kitchen table was a moment. You just kept choosing later." I hung up the phone and I cried for the first time in over 20 years. Not because she said something cruel, because she said something true. And truth, when it finally reaches you, does not feel like relief. It feels like grief for all the time you cannot get back. Later never came. That phrase stopped being something I said to clients. It became the truth of my own life. 15 years of small moments, small choices, small silences, adding up to one enormous loss. Not one big mistake, 1,000 small ones, repeated until they built a wall neither of us could see until it was finished. I went back to work 3 weeks later, but I was not the same counselor. I sat across from couples differently now. When a husband said, "I'll talk to her later, I'm just busy right now," I did not nod politely like I used to. I looked him in the eye and I said, "There is no later, there is only now, and now is running out faster than you think." I started telling my own story to some of them, quietly, carefully, not as advice from a textbook, but as a warning from a man who had lived the exact mistake he was trying to save them from. Something shifted in those rooms after that. Couples cried harder, but they also listened harder, because now they were not hearing theory. They were hearing a man who had lost the love of his life to the word later, standing in front of them, begging them not to do the same. I could not undo my own loss, but maybe I thought I could stop others from living it. That became the only purpose I had left. Here is what 50 years and one broken marriage taught me. Here is the truth underneath everything. We believe love is a feeling. It is not. Love is attention. Love is the 1,000 small choices to look up from your phone, your work, your own tiredness and see the person in front of you. Feelings come and go. Attention is the thing that keeps love alive between the moments when feelings fade. I believed for most of my life that if the love was real, it would survive on its own. I was wrong. Love does not survive on its own. Nothing living does. A plant does not survive because you once loved it in a store. It survives because you keep watering it. Every day, even on the days you do not feel like it. I stopped watering mine, and I told myself the roots were strong enough to hold without me. They were not. Here is the second truth. We think the people closest to us can wait, because they always have. Your mother has always answered the phone, so you assume she always will. Your husband has always been there at the end of the day, so you assume he always will. Your father has always had next year to hear those words you have not said yet. But closeness is not the same as permanence. The people who love us the most are often the ones we make wait the longest, because we know they will not walk away easily. We know they will forgive us again and again. So we save our urgency for strangers, for deadlines, for people who might leave if we do not show up. And we let the people who love us most stand quietly in the doorway, waiting for us to notice them. Eleanor stood in that doorway for 15 years. I thought I had time. I want you to say that phrase in your own mind right now. Think of the person you have been telling yourself you have time for. A parent, a partner, a child who has grown distant, a friend you have not called in months. Say it. I thought I had time. Now ask yourself, honestly, when was the last time you told them something that mattered? Not how was your day? Not small talk. Something real. Something true. If you cannot remember, that is your answer. I was wrong. I spent my career teaching couples the difference between talking and truly speaking. Talking fills the silence. Speaking closes the distance. Most people, most days, are just talking. How was work? Did you eat? See you later. Words that move through the air, but never touch anything real underneath. Eleanor and I talked every single day for 20 years, and somewhere in there, we stopped speaking to each other completely. Later never came for us, not because life got in the way, but because I let life get in the way. There is a difference. Life does not steal your time from you. You hand it over, piece by piece, every time you choose the smaller, easier thing over the person who deserves your full attention. Don't make my mistake. That is not just a phrase I use to end sessions anymore. It is the only apology I have left to give Eleanor, and I give it now, through every couple I sit with. Every time I stop a husband from saying later, every time I stop a wife from swallowing what she really wants to say, I am handing them the 15 years I lost. I am giving it to them, so they do not have to lose it the way I did. That is the only way I know how to make it mean something. I am 82 years old now. Eleanor passed away 4 years ago. We never remarried each other. We never got that chance back. But in her final years, we became friends again. Real friends. I finally learned to speak to her, not just talk. It was not the marriage I lost, But it was something. It was more than silence. It was not enough, but it was something. I am telling you this story because I do not have much time left. And for the first time in my life, I am not afraid to say that out loud. I am not telling you this so you feel sorry for an old man. I am telling you this because somewhere out there, right now, you are sitting across from someone you love and you are choosing later. Stop. Stop right now and think of their face. You do not know how much time you have. None of us do. I did not know at that kitchen table that I was living the last real chance to save my marriage. If I had known, I would have put down my paperwork. I would have looked at Eleanor and said, yes, I see you. Tell me everything. I did not know, but you do not have that excuse anymore. I am telling you now, later never came for me. Do not let it be the story you tell when you are 82, sitting alone, wishing you had said the one thing that mattered. Call them. Tonight. Not tomorrow. Not when things calm down. Tonight. Tell them you see them. Tell them you are sorry for the times you did not. Tell them the truth you have been saving for someday, because someday is not a day on the calendar. It is the day you keep pushing further away until it disappears completely. I spent 50 years teaching people how to save their marriages. I could only save my regret. Do not let that be you. I was wrong for far too long. Don't make my mistake. Later never came. Don't let it be the last thing you say about the people you love.